Testing, one, two, three, testing. Hey, Pretty Girl Club. So I came across a video from an Afro Latina. I believe she's Afro Latina and has a West Indian background. Hold on, let me pull up her name. Um, so her name is, I'll put it on the screen, Kia Roan. And she was talking about the whole Exoticals and Paris Milan situation. And the whole point of me addressing Paris Milan is exactly what my title says. It's like, you won't acknowledge the beauty of Exoticals, but you want us to acknowledge yours. And be sure to watch Kia Roan's video if you haven't had a chance to yet. And I've noticed this overarching theme with a lot of unambiguous Black YouTubers where they will call us ugly, call us mediocre, say that we can't compare to white women or, you got the same Black man or whatever. But then you expect us to turn around and acknowledge your beauty and support your beauty. So you won't pay your exotical tax, but you want us to pay unambiguous tax. You got me all the way fucked up. But I feel like one way we can stay on code as exoticals is do not acknowledge the beauty of women who won't acknowledge yours. Because that's all we're saying over here. Like in the case of Jordan Childs, Paris Milan refused to acknowledge Jordan Child's beauty, which is very obvious. In fact, the conversation wasn't even about beauty. The conversation was about something totally different. And Paris Milan decided to randomly bring up, oh, Jordan Childs can't compete with non-Black Hispanic baddies. And it's like, okay, so you are coming on YouTube with this attitude of, I'm not going to acknowledge Exotical's beauty, but you need to acknowledge my beauty. And it's like, no, we are no longer going to be the stepping stool or the capes or the mules or the emotional punching bags of insecure women who hide behind colorism talking points. Jordan Childs, she did not do anything personal against Paris Milan's looks or say anything personal against Paris Milan's looks. Same thing with women like Danny Lay or whoever else Paris Milan has talked about over the years. And I also think that when it comes to the ism conversation and the beauty conversation, two things can be true at the same time. Unambiguous Black women can be beautiful, but guess who else gets to be beautiful? Exoticals. So, no, our beauty is not always based on simply colorism, texturism, or featureism. There are people who genuinely think that we are beautiful. Like, when is it okay for exoticals to think that we are beautiful? When is it okay for us to have self esteem? And by the way, this is not geared towards Kia Road. This is just in general. It's like, when is it okay for us to have self esteem? Why can't we acknowledge one another's beauty? Why is it only the exoticals have to acknowledge unambiguous Black women's beauty? Otherwise, we're colorist. And I'm so glad that we've got more women chiming in on this conversation, especially women who do not identify as light skinned. I'm so glad that we've got more women making YouTube videos and stuff like that. And this is like one of my dreams. I've always wanted to have more of a discussion on this amongst us women. And I'm really glad that now that we're talking about things like featureism and texturism, I'm glad that we've got darker women who have been accused of benefiting from featureism and texturism. I'm glad that we've got more women like that starting to speak up. And a part of how I know that a lot of the ism conversation was disingenuous is because people got mad once the exoticals started speaking up. People got mad once we started admitting, we started finally acknowledging our privilege and saying, okay, fine. If that's your definition of colorism, texturism, and featureism, then okay, then I guess we are benefiting from it then. And so we acknowledged our privilege, which is what unambiguous women told us to do. We got out of their spaces, which is what unambiguous women told us to do. We stopped replacing them. So we stopped pretending to be unambiguous monoracial dark skinned Black women, which is what unambiguous women told us to do because they said we were replacing them and that they are the real unambiguous Black women. Okay, cool. So we are literally following every single thing that they told us to do, and yet it's still wrong. And now we've got content creators leaving the colorism conversation, leaving YouTube temporarily, not even being able to enjoy their vacations because they're so desperate to prove their skin tones. Oh, and also in the case of Paris Milan, for the people who do not think that she lightened her skin, which I still do, by the way, because a person Lupita Nyong'o's color does not become yellow no matter what the lighting is. But let's say that it's lighting and makeup and filters. Why are dark skinned black women putting on light skinned filters so that they can come and talk shit and say how they look better than light skinned women? Do you see how much that actually builds the pedestal, quote unquote, of light skinned women? Do you see how pathetic and sad that actually appears? So you're putting on a whole filter and you're putting on 50 different softbox lights and a makeup shade with a completely different undertone. You're putting on a yellow ass makeup shade so that your foundation can match mine. And by the way, lots of exoticals in the Discord have talked about our foundation shades being missing when we go to makeup stores. And we genuinely believe that a lot of it could potentially be from women like Paris Milan who are wearing makeup shades 20 shades lighter than their skin tone. So let's address that. Why do dark skinned black women, why do some of you guys wear lighter makeup that's like yellow? And that question is not directed towards Kia Roan, but just in general. Like, that's a general question for those who are listening. Like, why don't unambiguous black women admit that exoticals are some of your beauty icons? We already know that we are beauty icons. And I'm not saying it to be disrespectful. I'm genuinely stating facts. Rihanna, Beyonce, Justine Skye, Ryan Destiny, we already know that we are your beauty icons. And I've noticed that whenever you embrace your beauty, women with insecurities, they take it as you think you're better than me. And it's like, no, that's not my problem that you think that I think I'm better than you. Can you read my mind? Can you read my thoughts? No, you can't. So you actually don't know whether or not I think I'm better than you, but that shouldn't matter anyway if you don't believe it, right? If you don't believe that I actually am better than you, then it shouldn't even offend you either way. If a 500-pound woman says she has a better body than me, I wouldn't get mad. In fact, I would probably laugh or I would think it's cute, right? Because I don't actually believe that she has a better body than me. But if someone who I do believe has a better body than me thinks that she has a better body than me, then I would get mad. Why? Because it's triggering an insecurity, because I would see it as a competition, because I have an inferiority complex. And so a lot of women who come against women of different phenotypes while simultaneously trying to look like women of those phenotypes, we think that it is pathetic. We think it's pathetic. And then also, I've noticed this stereotype that some unambiguous women have where they think you can't be dark skinned and still get exotified. So, women like Kia Roan and Coley or Coakley, sorry if I'm pronouncing her name wrong, I'll put it on the screen because I can't remember it right now. Women like them are living proof that you can have a deeper skin tone and still be exotified. And that is one talking point that nobody has been able to argue with. I haven't seen Paris Milan coming for me on that talking point. I haven't seen Chrissy coming for me on that talking point because they like to conveniently ignore the existence of dark skinned women who get exotified. Because I feel like the true dark skin standard of beauty is dark skinned women who get exotified, such as dark skinned women with type 3C hair and above, dark skinned women with keener features. A good example of women with keener features are like Ethiopians, Horn Africans, Eritreans, Somali. And so that's a talking point that no one in the unambiguous community even acknowledges. This is the only channel of its kind. Like at the time that I created this channel, this was the only channel that even acknowledged the fact that the dark skin standard of beauty is dark skinned exoticals. And by the phrase exotical, I mean women who get exotified, meaning you have ambiguity in your phenotype and you also have ambiguity in your experiences as a Black woman. So whether you identify as Black or mixed Black or you one drop yourself into Blackness doesn't matter because you can't control other people's perception of you. Race is a social construct. So the dark skinned women who have the keener features or looser hair textures, in some spaces, they may be considered unambiguously Black. And then in other spaces, they are getting questioned just like how a light skinned woman would get questioned. Oh, what are you mixed with? Why does your hair look like that? Why do your eyes look like that? Why does your nose look like that? That's not your mom. That's not your dad. You're adopted. Those are the same exact comments that they tell to lighter skinned women. Those are the same exact comments that they tell to mixed race women. This is the only channel that unifies the women of all the different shades and races, whether you identify as monoracial, multiracial, whether you've taken a DNA test or not. This is the only channel that acknowledges that talking point. But I've noticed that some women from the Black empowerment space have such an inferiority complex to the point where, number one, they ignore dark skinned women who share our experiences because they want to pretend like dark skin is a handicap. So they conveniently ignore the dark skinned confident women. They conveniently ignore the dark skinned women who have just as much pretty privilege as us. They conveniently ignore those women. Oh no, they just want to randomly use the same old tired ism conversation and the ism talking points to try to invalidate the exoticals. And so instead of actually pulling up receipts, talking points, audios, etc., to actually prove that we are somehow white supremacists, they can't prove that, obviously. And so then they'll say, oh, you guys are covert, colorist, texturist, and featurist. First of all, what the fuck is a covert, colorist, texturist, or featurist? And please tell me how you can prove that someone is a covert, colorist, texturist, or featurist. Because the last time I checked, you're either colorist or you're not. You're either racist or you're not. You're texturist or you're not. It's not, oh, well, he's a covert. No. And another question that I have for the unambiguous women on YouTube who come from kind of more of this pro-black talking point is why all the smoke for the exoticals? Why all the smoke for Jordan Childs? Why all the smoke for mixed race women or light skinned women or dark skinned exoticals, calling them mammies, which by the way, mammies, they were slaves. So you literally used a talking point. Paris Milan used that talking point against that darker skinned woman. She used a slavery talking point against a fellow dark skinned woman. Yet if I were to use a slavery nickname against a dark skinned woman, I'd be called anti black. So do you see how it's very easy for us to call out the hypocrisies and the internalized colorism, texturism, and featurism within unambiguous black women themselves? And back to the skin bleaching conversation, what about digital skin bleaching? What about using Snapchat filters and makeup shades 25 shades lighter? Why are they doing that? Why? When I go to a makeup store, I'm not spending $50 at Sephora on a white girl's makeup. For what? It doesn't match my skin tone. It doesn't match my undertones. It looks washed out in the natural sunlight. And also, I love my particular complexion. So why would I even need to purchase a foundation shade that's 25 shades lighter and has a lighter undertone so I can wear it on my face and then put on a light skin filter like Pinky Doll so that I can feel beautiful? But then have the audacity to call actual mixed race or light skinned women colorist, texturist, and featurist, or to say that their beauty is somehow inferior to someone non black because their black genes make them inferior. That's idiotic to me. And also, another thing about skin lighteners. Oh yeah, you guys are telling, some people are telling me like, no, that's not skin bleaching. Skin bleaching is with hydroquinone. Skin lightening is just kojic acid, MSM, glutathione, vitamin C, NAC. Okay, fine. Skin lightener, skin bleacher. You guys know what I mean when I use that phrase. Someone who wants their skin tone to not be as dark as what it was in the photo. The bottom line is Paris Milan, she has never tanned back to the tennis photo shade. So that shows me she doesn't want to get that dark again. Okay, so either way. So which one is it? Is it colorist to not want to get a tan? Because I see a lot of people calling light skins colorist if they don't want to get a tan, or if they wear a lot of sunscreen, or if they carry umbrellas outside when it's sunny and they want to stay in the shade, or if they say, I don't want to get any darker. So do you see the hypocrisy again? Why is it okay for Paris Milan to not want to get darker or to not want to get back as dark as she was, but it's not okay for light skinned women to have the same exact mindset? Do you see the hypocrisy? Do you see the flip floppery? But I'm really glad that we've got darker skinned women who admit that they can relate to a lot of the experiences that the dark skin exoticals have on this channel. So I'm really glad that people are talking about that. What do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.